All right, you guys, what's going on? So it appears that Vasily Lomachenko just officially announced his retirement. Now, keep in mind, it's the morning where some of us at, or the early morning. It's like, it's 6 and some change, out here. And it's probably the afternoon where he is or something like that. But it appears that he has made his retirement official, that he's done with boxing at age 37. I'm just going to break down Vasily Lomachenko's whole career as a whole, where he did have moments where he put on great performances. I do think how good he was a little manufactured, or should I say it was manufactured, because I never thought that he was the number one pound for pound fighter. That was fabricated. That was something that was put out there by, ESPN and other people and other media. Lomachenko did have some moments where he looked great, and he was a good fighter, but the way they made him out to be like he was one of the best that ever did it, that was nonsense. Because at the end of the day, he lost to a dude that had double-digit losses in Orlando Salido, and that was his second fight. Then he really didn't try to avenge that fight. And you could talk about that Salido hit him low throughout the fight. Well, whatever the case may be, he was awarded the victory. He beat him. He found a way to beat him, with or without the low blows. At times where he looked great, there were times where you questioned him. You saw a lot of his weaknesses. You saw what happened with him versus Devin Haney. You saw what happened with him versus Teofimo Lopez. Some people thought that he beat Devin Haney. I didn't think that he beat Devin Haney. I thought Devin Haney clearly won that fight. Just because somebody have two good rounds, where they have two dominant rounds, doesn't solidify them winning the fight. Because if you watch that fight closely, Devin Haney was destroying Lomachenko to the body. Now, he did have the 11th round, but with that being said, the rounds were competitive, and you got to give the rounds to the champ. And that's all that happened. Devin Haney was edging him in the rounds. Devin Haney didn't get enough credit for his performance and what he was doing in the fight. But, it is what it is. We don't know what was behind that. Now, many people believe that Lomachenko was about to retire because he was hitting retirement. Keep in mind, he wants to take time off. I know there was some stuff going on in Ukraine. We understood that. But at the same time, he still had fights while that was going on. Junior. Now, my thing is about Lomachenko, where do I rate him among the greatest fighters that ever lived? I just got to be honest with you. When it's all said and done, when people really evaluate Lomachenko's career, they're going to come to the conclusion, they're going to say, look, Lomachenko was overrated. And I felt he was overrated. He beat some decent people. He did. He beat some decent people. But the way ESPN was building him up, like, I thought that was insulting, where they had him among the ranks of Muhammad Ali and Floyd Mayweather and some of the best that ever did it. Because I got to be honest with you, Floyd Mayweather never lost to a dude in his second professional fight that had double-digit losses, did Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali lost to more quality opponents. Is Orlando Salido a first ballot Hall of Famer? No. That's just real talk. Is Teofimo Lopez, a first ballot Hall of Famer. Not currently with that resume. I think Devin Haney is headed towards the Hall of Fame. Now, due to the fact that Devin Haney has a victory over Lomachenko, and Lomachenko was considered a consensus by some people a pound-for-pound fighter, well, that makes Devin's victory over Lomachenko look even more great. But me, myself, I thought Lomachenko was overrated. I always thought that, and of course, when I said that, people said I didn't like him because he was Eastern European white, and no, I just saw it. And I think Lomachenko, another reason why he retired is because he just felt that at this point, if he fought Tank, that there was a chance that he could get brutally knocked out by Tank, and I just think he didn't want to have that type of embarrassment. I think he wanted to, be looked upon to the people in Ukraine, hanging his head high as a guy, at the end of the day, he had a solid career. But I'm going to say this again. Yes, he's a two-time Olympic gold medalist, but what you do in the amateurs don't reflect what you do as a pro. And like I said before, you had, this is a dude that had losses to Teofimo Lopez at the time. Before he lost to Devin Haney, had a loss to Orlando Salido. And that loss to Orlando Salido, to me, killed any chance of him being a consensus or a legitimate pound-for-pound fighter. And to have him ranked higher over Terrence Crawford at the time, Errol Spence at the time, those type of guys, Uslik, even in a way, and a few other people, Arthur Beterbiev, those type of Shakur Stevenson. I thought that was an insult, and I thought that was very disrespectful to them. You just got to keep it a buck. And I'll go on any panel and tell that to anybody. I'll say it in front of the biggest Lomachenko fan out there. Oh, and I got to speak on this. I got to speak on this fraudulent stuff about people trying to protect Teofimo Lopez. People talking about Teofimo uses strategy not to fight Devin Haney. Man, some of these dudes out here are just full of it. Like for real, how does Teofimo Lopez have any type of bargaining chip over anybody? I'm just keeping it 100. A dude that can't sell no tickets. And a lot of these dudes are just sitting up here just putting out stuff that they know is just BS. And I'm going to say this once again, Teofimo has no chance versus Boots. That's a 4-round fight at best. But yeah, I am not surprised that he retired. I saw this. And he thought about it. And listen, that's okay. But my thing is, if you want to be honest, based off how Tank looked versus Lamont Roach, who knows? Maybe Lomo would have had enough in the tank to put together a competitive fight versus Tank, but I still would have favored Tank in a fight versus Lomachenko. I do feel that Tank would have eventually caught Lomachenko, and I think Tank would have knocked him out. Maybe he didn't take Lamont Roach serious. Maybe, he underestimated Lamont Peterson. Maybe you will see a difference in the rematch, which is slated for sometime in August. But I do think that you would have saw the best version of Tank versus Lomachenko. Now, people are going to say that Lomachenko was ducked by Tank like a few years ago. That might be the case. But at the same time, Lomachenko was weighing his options. He looked, okay, Do I jump up and wait a little bit? You know, could I compete at 140? Which Lomachenko said that in all likelihood he was going to go up to 140. So you got to look at the dudes that's out there, the upcoming dudes. That's, of course, Keyshawn Davis. You got to look at Shakur Stevenson. At all those type of guys that was out there for Lomachenko that could have been an option. And you might be thinking at this point, could Lomachenko beat all those dudes, or would he beat those dudes and he struggle against those dudes, or look very bad against those dudes, and then going into the next fight, well, he gets beat again, and this time he gets beat even more decisively to the point of where he possibly gets stopped. So that's what I saw in Lomachenko. I do think that Lomachenko was overrated. I really do. He does have some solid victories on his resume. He does have guys like Gary Russell Jr., which, by the way, that Gary Russell Jr. fight was a majority decision. And Gary Russell Jr. appeared to have knocked Lomachenko down, which he did. He clearly knocked Lomachenko down. They didn't count it as a knockdown. And if, in fact, that had been counted as a knockdown, then Gary Russell Jr. gets a draw versus Lomachenko. Then he does have a victory versus Nicholas Walters. Nicholas Walters was an up-and-coming fighter, or should I say a dude that they thought could be pound-for-pound status, or was approaching pound-for-pound status. And then Nicholas Walters, you haven't really heard from that guy since. And a lot of people believe there was something behind that fight. That people thought something was weird about what happened with the Nicholas Walters fight. Then he fought Guillermo Rigondeaux, who you could clearly see was far too small for Nico. You know, so I'm just saying, Lomachenko was a good fighter, but elite, and to have him as an all-time great like some people are painting him, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not worried about the backlash that I'm gonna get. I know I'm a hater. I know I'm a racist. I don't care about none of that shit. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. But I do wish him the best. Is he gonna get into the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I think yeah, he's gonna get into the Hall of Fame because people loved him so much, and plus he had a hype machine around him. So there you have it. But anyway, I just wanted to give my 2 cents on the whole Lomachenko thing. Once again, I wish him the very best. And who knows? Lomachenko may change his mind. He's 37 years old, but maybe he has, or should I say, maybe the wear and tear has kicked in, because he did have an extreme amount of amateur fights. Like they saying that he had like 400 amateur fights. He turned pro, I think he turned pro at 26. So they kind of had to jump start him right away. And once again, they jump started him, and he lost his second professional fight to Orlando Salido, once again, a dude with double-digit losses. So there you have it. It's your boy Town. I'm out.